Hello and welcome back to Abilene People, the podcast where we talk to Abilene's most interesting people. And this episode features Abilene's Outstanding Citizen of the Year, Stan Lambert. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, Danny. Thanks for having me.
Hey, it's so good to have you because we're going to talk about all kinds of things, but we're really not going to talk much about politics.
That's
How
great.
about that?
That's
you like
great.
That?
You bet.
But I do want to go back and talk about last year's primary. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. That's just a little humor.
Good start.
I'm glad you could laugh at that. Okay, so are you the first? Well, let's start with the most important stuff. You have been married for 40 plus years to the love of your life. Tell us who that is and who your children are. And I think you've got 2 granddaughters. Is that right?
I do. 2 granddaughters and a grandson.
Oh, you have a grandson too? Okay.
Yes. So I'm married to Debbie. She grew up here in Abilene for most of her, say, junior high and high school years. And then she went to Abilene Christian University, which is where I went to school as well.
Is that where y'all met or did you know before?
We had known each other before. We were going to the same church. Our parents went to the same church together. And so we knew each other from Bible class and that. But we didn't associate much with the kids that went to the private school, the Abilene Christian School. I was Abilene High School. And so we'd go to Bible class and the ACHS kids would sit on one side and the Abilene High kids would sit on the other side. And occasionally we'd talk to each other, but there just didn't seem to be a lot of communication. But 3 years after we both had graduated from college, I was working for a bank in San Antonio. She was working, she'd come back to Abilene to work on her master's degree in speech pathology. And her parents saw me at church one day with my parents, and they said, "You ought to contact Stan Lambert. You know, he's single, he's a banker, might be somebody interesting to get to know a little bit."
Famous local athlete, that guy.
I don't know how famous, but just... So we did. We corresponded and then started dating.
Okay, so you guys went to Bible class together, but it was when you moved to San Antonio that you started dating.
That's right.
That's crazy.
That's right. And long story short, we dated for about a year and a half, and then we got married, and then I drug her all over the state.
Oh yeah, because you have been a banker in Ozona, in kind of East Central Texas,
Ennis.
in Ennis, Texas,
Mm-hmm.
which has Ennis is famous for that racetrack. I mean, there's a racetrack
That's right.
over
There's
there.
a drag strip.
And you were the mayor of the drag strip.
Well, I was. I think they had already started the drag strip before I became mayor. But yes, that was one thing. It's a very heavily Czech population, so great Czech food. Klobásy. All the different types of food that the Czechs are famous for. We had a polka festival.
Yeah,
I got to ride in a car in the polka festival.
I was hoping you would at least say, "What the heck was that?" And I could explain how it is I know a phrase in Czech.
What is that?
Well, my wife and I spent almost a month in Prague many, many years ago. And we rode the subway every day. Their subway system is beautiful. And this was just 18 months after the Velvet Revolution. And I memorized what they say when the doors are opening and closing. You got to finish getting in and out, which is that little phrase.
Sure.
So,
Well,
the only thing that's ever gotten me was a guy checked me out to Fry's Electronics in the Metroplex one time, and I saw he had a Czech name, and I said that phrase, and he gave me a 30% discount.
I don't know a lot about Czechoslovakia. Ivan Lendl used to be from Czechoslovakia, great tennis player.
Great tennis player.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, now we're going to talk about athletes.
So
you are really a local legend because even if it's not true, nobody's going to be able to check it. You are the only I'm going to go ahead and say it. You are the only person who has ever pitched a no-hitter for Abilene High School and then gone on to pitch a no-hitter for Abilene Christian as well. Is this not true?
That is true.
Yeah, you did. So when you pitch a no-hitter, you pitched all 9 innings?
They were 7-inning games in high school, and the game in college was also a 7-inning game because it was a part of a doubleheader.
So were you sweating it out thinking, oh my goodness, I hope they don't get a hit and then I hope we don't go into extra innings?
Well, let me just tell you about the college game. I had a perfect game until 6 2/3 innings.
Oh no. Oh.
And then our left fielder made an error on a fly ball that ruined the perfect game, but still salvaged the no-hitter. But I grew up loving sports. I played all kinds of sports here growing up, junior high and high school, and basketball and baseball were my two main sports. And I'll just tell you real briefly, my sophomore year in high school, I was invited to play on the varsity. In my very first varsity game, when the coach said it's time to go in, I pulled all of my warm-ups off, and I was mooning the crowd, literally mooning the crowd, when a gentleman from about the third row reached down and tapped me on the back and said, "Hey, you might want to pull the rest of your uniform up."
Oh, that's a classic.
So, yeah, just a very...
Well, we've contacted the archivist, and we have that footage. And let's go, Travis, over to the... There we go. That'd be great, wouldn't it?
That would.
That would have ruined your career.
Hey, that was so long ago. They didn't have cell phones, thank goodness.
Yeah. So many things you and I can say, given our gravitas and age. I don't know about gravitas on my part, but age. I'm so glad they didn't have cell phones back then. Yeah.
Amen.
Okay, so you have been our state rep now for a whole number of terms. I think like 5. Is that right?
I'm serving out my 5th term.
Yeah, but you have said you're not going to run again.
Right.
And I really don't want to talk about politics, but just refresh us. Now, hold on. I have a letter here, a very official looking letter. Travis, can you see that on the camera? It's a very official looking letter. It is from Stan Lambert, State Representative, District 71. And you say in this letter, "I am sick and tired of politics," and went out.
That's right.
That is not at all what you say. You are the most gracious person in the history of the world. Yeah, I mean, it's a beautiful letter. And I'm assuming you wrote it or Robyn wrote it with you.
I have
It's
a great
beautiful.
staff, Danny. I have a great staff.
It's a great letter. No, but it's a very beautiful letter. And you quote George H.W. Bush, "Public service is a noble calling, and we need men and women of character to believe in their communities, in their states, and in their country." I mean, that describes Stan Lambert.
I'm a Reagan Bush Republican from the get-go, and I just remember following those two gentlemen, H.W. Bush and then W, during their presidencies, and just really believe that our country was in a good place during their presidencies. I hated to see H.W. lose because Perot jumped into the race and kind of split the votes.
Yeah,
on
it's
the
kind of
Republican
funny, isn't
side.
it? We don't remember that really. We
No.
just think that Clinton beat him, but had it not been for H. Ross Perot,
That's right.
George H.W. Bush would have served a second
That's right.
term.
And I think back when W was governor and Pete Laney from Hales Center, Texas, just up northwest of Lubbock, was Speaker of the House in the Texas legislature. And you had people from different sides of the coin, as far as the aisle that we talk about, working together and really creating a lot of good legislation and doing some good things for the state. I really look back to almost that far back and thinking about, why is our economy growing and doing so well for the last 8 or 10 years? Why are we creating all these surpluses and revenue surpluses in the Texas economy? And I think it all started back when we started thinking about low taxation, low regulations. Let's create an environment here where people want to come here. They want to start a business. They want to create jobs, and just all the above that have led to what we call now the Texas Miracle.
Have you enjoyed your time in Austin?
I have really enjoyed it.
How many times do you think you've gone back and forth?
How many times?
Yeah.
Don't ask my staff, because they get mad at me, because if it's 10 o'clock at night, we finish on the floor, I'm in my car heading back to Abilene.
Okay. I was talking to Jay Hardaway the other day, and he had served you as a policy advisor.
Right.
And he made that very comment about you. He said, Stan Lambert is the guy, because he loves Abilene, who will get in his car and drive home late at night. Doesn't matter. He'll do it.
Well,
And a lot of guys won't.
One thing, I want to sleep in my own bed instead of sleeping in an apartment. But the other thing is, I mean, it paid dividends for me to be back in the district, going to church, going to the grocery store, going to the Paramount, seeing people on a regular basis, even while we're in session, to keep that communication line open for them to know that I'm accessible, and that if they've got an issue or they've got a problem or they want to talk about something, then usually they call my staff, and my staff then relays the information to me. But it worked better for me to know that I wasn't permanently in Austin. It was a temporary job. And that's the way our founders decided to do it,
Yes.
200 plus years ago.
Great vision that really, unfortunately, particularly at the federal level, has kind of become an anomaly for somebody that just goes, serves a short time, and then leaves. In fact, you had something funny that you said a while ago. I don't know how funny it is, but I think it's true. Politicians typically leave for one of two or three reasons. Click those off for me again, if you don't
Well,
mind.
some die in office, others get defeated in an election. And then the third reason sometimes is they just decide to leave when they think things have gone well and they want to leave on a high note versus leaving maybe when they didn't get something done or accomplished. And so we had a really good session back in January through May. We got a lot accomplished. We got a lot of good things done for House District 71. And so we just felt like that was part of the decision-making process that my wife and I went through when we decided now was the time to leave and let the younger generation move up.
You mentioned your staff. I have known one staff member of yours for some time, Robyn, and I just want to give you a moment to just talk about her and how, I mean, I know she's great.
Well, she's been with me from the beginning. She already had served with former Representative King for 10 years. So she knew the ins and outs. She knew basically what was good about the job, what some of the headaches would be, where to go to get answers. She already had that information in her quiver.
Coach
Yeah,
has a microphone and he'll talk to the quarterback.
Yeah.
She was probably the microphone talking in your ear there
well,
at the start,
especially from the district standpoint. But she also had been to Austin enough to where she had contacts and established relationships with certain people in the agencies. Because when people call a state agency and call a 1-800 number, guess what's going to happen? They're going to get put on hold. They're going to get transferred. They're going to get what? Robyn has a direct line to somebody that can give us an answer, yes or no. And usually the answer is, well, I don't know. I'll get back to you. But that's the kind of expertise she had and brought to the table.
Yeah, that's great. And I would love to pick both of y'all's brains about the best places to eat in Austin.
Oh, wow.
I bet you've got a good list.
Well, yes and no. I wasn't one that the first session or two, I did try to go out to dinner and with other representatives, with other people that worked around the Capitol on a regular basis. And sometimes these dinners would be 10 or 12 people together sitting around, just getting to know each other on an informal basis. And that's really part of what this job is building those friendships and those relationships, because even if they're a D that lives in Houston, Texas, you think, I don't have anything in common with them. But eventually you might. It might be workforce education, or it might be something to do with public education or whatever. And so you need to have those kind of relationships where you can just walk up to somebody and say, hey, I'm working on something. I want to get your opinion or get your thoughts on this. And there's no sense of defense. They don't put up their defense mechanisms. They're willing to open up and they're willing to talk and share with you. And so that it takes a little bit of time. And so what I would say to whoever becomes the next representative is take your time in building those relationships and get to know people and just be willing to listen.
But if my state representative can't tell me the best barbecue places, I don't know what good you are. I was going to make me some notes here. Best barbecue place
there are probably 3 or 4 good barbecue restaurants in Austin.
But there's better ones in Abilene.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Throughout House District 71.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay. So you have been a banker. You have been in government and a politician or state representative. You have been an athletic director. You have been a lot of things. You have served on a gazillion nonprofit boards. But looking back over your career, and it's not that it's all coming to an end. I just mean you're making, you say, I've got a new chapter coming. Right. What has been your favorite chapter? Is that even a fair question?
It's a fair question. I don't know that I've got a good answer for you, other than the fact that I didn't serve as mayor for very long, so I wasn't involved in city government in Ennis before I moved back to Abilene. Being an athletic director was obviously a lot of fun, just because I grew up playing sports and enjoyed sports and played sports in college. But the last 10 years have been very gratifying. I mean, we feel like we haven't passed any legislation that's going to change the direction of Texas, but what we've done is we've tried to find areas of interest in House District 71 that in West Texas and in rural Texas that might make a difference someday. And I'll just give you an example. We just passed, in this last session, we passed a bill that will create an endowment for Texas State Technical College. Texas State Technical College is one of the best and most effective and productive places you can go in the state of Texas to get a skill set. And the state doesn't even reimburse TSTC until after that completer or that graduate gets a job.
Wow.
So we don't have any investment in the training or the skill building or the education or the faculty or any of the operational expenses until after they get a job. So we created an endowment so that they could continue to build more campuses around the state, so they could continue to expand programs. And by the way, this is going to be on the constitutional calendar for November 4th. This will be one of the propositions that people will be voting for. And I just hope people will look at the fact that TSTC has been a tremendous partner with the state of Texas in developing our future workforce, and will vote for Prop 1.
You've been on a bunch of, not that there's any committees at the state level that are unimportant, but some are more strategic and important than others. And you've been on some pretty important committees. In fact, I think you were chairman of that finance committee. There's probably a fancier name for it than that, but that's something that, given your banking background, you probably tailor-made for.
I did. I really enjoyed serving on, it's called Pensions, Investments, and Financial Services.
Thank you.
So the acronym is PIFS.
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 Boy, you got to be careful how you say that.
That's right.
Man.
But that was, you're right, it's kind of in my wheelhouse. And I served 2 other sessions. I served on the committee, once as a vice chair, and then this last session I was given the opportunity to serve as chair. So that deals with pensions from TRS, teacher retirement, to the employees of the state of Texas, to even local pensions like firefighters and police organizations and so forth. So a broad sense of that, plus working with the banking commissioner for the state of Texas and working on financial banking type issues and so forth. So yeah, it was something I really enjoyed and appreciated the opportunity to serve as chairman.
So I want to circle back and talk about something you've already touched on, which is when you refer to yourself as a Reagan Bush Republican, but I want to come at it less from a political angle and more from just kind of a cultural angle. I'm old enough to say that the first president I ever voted for was Reagan, and I voted GOP ever since. And I think most of that time I've been pretty hopeful. Even when my guy lost, I was pretty hopeful. I've been an American that typically saw the glass was half full. As you did, where you sit today, just looking at the big picture, and you can stay as big picture and get as specific as you want. Are you hopeful for where America is? Do you feel good about where America is? And let me ask it this way. Seems like that old song by Simon and Garfunkel, when they said, where have you gone, Joe DiMaggio? The nation turns its lonely eyes to you. I don't want to over sentiment with the sentimentality, but it seems to me, we could say, where have you gone, Stan Lambert? The lonely folks turn our eyes to you. We need more Stan Lamberts, not less.
Well,
we need more people like you, because you help us see the glass half full. We have optimism because we got people of character. I'll quit talking and turn it over to you. I don't even know that there's a question in there.
Well, I think what I heard you say was compared to the way we grew up, compared to the way we kind of started thinking philosophically or politically or whatever, kind of maybe in our youth or in early career, professional career, maybe things have gotten a little bit out of hand, or maybe skewed in certain ways in today's environment. Certainly the events of the last couple of weeks have really touched our hearts, and we've hopefully maybe this is a turning point for our country to say that that's totally unacceptable. We can still agree to disagree and remain friends and go to dinner. I mean, that's been what I experienced at the beginning of my 5 terms in Austin was, we can agree, we can agree to disagree, but we'll go to dinner, we'll shake hands, and we'll leave the room, and we'll meet at a restaurant, maybe a barbecue restaurant, and just enjoy each other's company. The bipartisanship is not as bad as DC, but it's becoming more like that in Austin. And I think we've seen that over the last couple of sessions.
Well, you said you'd go to dinner with a D from Houston, obviously a Democrat from Houston, and just talk and
Sure.
get to know them.
Sure.
But it seems like people on both sides, particularly on the extremes, it's almost like performance politics where they say horrible things about the other side and the extremes of the other side. And then the others will lob back and get back at them. And it's got to end, doesn't it?
I hope so. I hope so, Danny. And I still am optimistic that our country will revitalize and we'll relive some of the good days when people like when George Bush was governor and Pete Laney was Speaker of the House, and they worked together and they had dinner together and they communicated with each other. I heard just yesterday, we toured the data center.
Yeah, how was that?
Oh, it was amazing. Just
blows you away, doesn't it?
unbelievable. But Senator Cruz made a comment that I thought was very pertinent. He mentioned the fact that we're kind of going through a revolution. And the last revolution was in the 90s when internet started becoming something that we didn't really understand or know just how impactful it was going to be. Bill Clinton, President Clinton, was the president at the time when he said, we're not going to put heavy regulations on the internet industry at this time. We're going to let it grow and prosper and kind of evolve. And I thought that was interesting coming from Senator Cruz, that he was complimenting a Democrat who had been president back in the 90s. And so we need more people who are willing to say, just because a bill has a D author, if it's good for rural Texas or if it's good policy, I can support that and I'll vote for it, and vice versa. And we see that working in many issues that what I call blocking and tackling: education, healthcare, just the basics, things that government should be really taking care of and working on. But we've gotten so far out on the fringes on some of these cultural issues and social wars and things that's where the extremism has really become more prevalent, and you see it more visible even on the House floor when people are arguing from the front mic to the back mic and tempers begin to flare and you start hearing people's tone of voice raised. That's not what our founders intended for this to be. They intended for this to be 140 days, go get your work done, take care of the basics, and then come home and be a part of the community again. Danny, we haven't had a session in the last 6 years where we just did 140 days. Now our sessions now extend into special sessions, and we're down there now mostly almost a year in 2023. And we just finished up the second special session just 2 or 3 weeks ago. There's rumors there might be another special session if the governor decides to call one. I hope not, but I'm just saying it has changed dramatically from what we experienced and what we saw good government trying to be. And it's not perfect. It has lots of things built into it that are inherently bad, but for the most part, we work through those issues and work through those problems, and we come to good solutions and try to progress this state forward and move in a direction that's positive. It's hard to argue about economics right now because, as I said, we're the 7th largest economy in the world. 7th largest economy in the world. And we're doing some really smart things from a business, from an industrial, from the standpoint of keeping our taxes low, keeping regulations low. So the people that are saying we're not doing enough, we're not being Republican enough, I mean, I think they're taking a position that really I think is going to be detrimental in the long term and could push us back the other direction.
So as we draw this toward conclusion and kind of think about landing the conversation, I don't know. Again, I don't mean to catch you off guard or in any way be unfair, but I mean, who do you think of as who is exhibiting this for us? I couldn't agree more. I should have started there. I couldn't agree more. To getting along, looking for the best, looking for the common good. Who's doing that for us and setting a role model for us. I mean, you've done it locally. You have. You set a role model for us during a surprisingly strange primary season last year. You took the high road. You kept saying, "Look, let's look for the best. Let's look for the good." And of course, it paid dividends for you in that you received the nomination and then won in the general. But who's doing that for us now? Is that part of my hopefulness or lack of that we just don't see that? And
no, they're out there. They're in different roles and different responsibilities and levels, whether it's city government, county government, or at the state level. And I really kind of go back to my friends, my colleagues, mostly were rural Republicans that I really got to know on a really personal level. Many of them were defeated in this last primary, but they were there for the right reasons. They were doing what they were told to do, and that was when you come to Austin, you represent your district and you vote your district. And even sometimes when that doesn't align with some of the state leaders and some of the national leaders, your job is to represent the 195,000 people that live in Jones, Taylor, Nolan, and Callahan counties. And that if that is changing to the point now where we have to shift towards listening to our state leaders and can only be reelected by virtue of their endorsement or their willingness to support us, I think we're losing what Texas government, what the Texas legislature, the way it was formed, the way it was set up, and the way it was envisioned. There's a lot of differences in our state, just geographically. We're very diverse in terms of our cultures, in terms of just, Houston, San Antonio, Dallas, Abilene, West Texas. But we've got to find people that are willing to say, look, let's represent our district, but let's also, on these other issues, let's try to find common ground. And let's find ways to continue to push our state forward so we can leave it better than we found it for our grandchildren. And that's been my goal and my motivation from day one.
I feel like we ought to just mark the last 4 minutes and just put it on repeat and play it, because it's beautiful. I'm sure it's those are comments you've made previously, I'm sure, but so well said today in this space, in this place. A couple of more very quick hits on this kind of stuff, and
Sure.
then I want to finish with a couple of fun ones.
Sure.
Would you be a resource? I'm sure the answer is yes, for whoever is elected next year to replace you.
I've already been a resource for people who have wanted to run for school board. They've come to talk to me and asked me questions about what's it like, how much.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about it.
How much
school
reading?
Board?
Yeah, well,
Goodness.
that was 10 years ago. And then other candidates who have run for other positions, whether it's city, county, whatever. But yes, I want to be a resource. I want to help anybody that I can. But they don't have to do it my way. They just need to do it their way, be true to themselves, and yet understand that they're running for a public office. And as a public office holder, you are responsible for representing your constituents, whether that's in Austin, whether that's Abilene City Council, whether that's Taylor County Commissioner Court. No matter what it is, you need to do those things and do it in a way that you can sleep at night and feel good about it.
Do you anticipate endorsing anyone in the Republican primary?
I don't know at this point. Filing date is not till December, so a lot can happen between now and December.
Well, we've already had one.
We've had one that
candidate
has decided
who
to
said, "I need to
withdraw
step out for family reasons."
Sure. So I have a preference, but I'm not going to be talking publicly about that until I see exactly who is going to be in the race.
Sure. Very fair. Okay. So if you guys could get on a plane, I'm talking about you and Debbie, on a plane tomorrow and go for a 2-week vacation anywhere in the world, where would you go?
Oh, she's already decided that
this is not a hypothetical.
Well, you have to understand that when I ran for this office 10 years ago, I'd visited about 15 or 16 major league ballparks. And my goal was to visit all 30.
Beautiful.
So in the last 10 years, in between sessions, and when
Man, that's tough.
when Robyn would give me a little time off,
yeah, right. That's tough.
I would go visit some more ballparks.
Okay, so which ones you got out there you still got to go to? You've done them all.
Two Septembers ago, I finished in Seattle. So now it's Debbie's turn to decide where we're going and when we're going. And she has had it on her list to do a river cruise in Europe for a long time. And Danny, I have dragged her all over the state.
That's great.
Whether it was in banking or whether it was to Austin or whatever. So she deserves to have her bucket list started. And that's what we're going to do.
That's great. Well, that'll be a lot of fun. Do you know where you're headed yet, or you got it all planned out? Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. As great as that is, I want to go back and ask you, give me your top 3 ballparks.
Top 3 ballparks outside of Wrigley and Fenway.
Okay. Fair enough.
Because those are iconic.
Yeah, special.
Yeah. I would say Pittsburgh, Baltimore, and San Francisco.
Okay. I've only been to one of those. I've been to Baltimore.
You've been to Baltimore, Camden Yard?
And I've been right outside both San Francisco and Pittsburgh's, and thought, man, I'd love to see a game there.
Yeah. They're really outstanding. I mean, of course, I like the ballparks that are in the middle in downtown.
I do too.
Where you can see.
Yeah. And Houston's fits that bill.
Houston's is great.
Yeah, it's a great park. Yeah. Could you imagine pitching in any of those parks? And when you were at your best, how would a major league hitter have treated your fastball?
Well, at my best, my major league fastball was probably about 79 miles per hour. So I was more control pitcher.
Yeah, well, you had to move the ball around at 79 miles an hour. Yeah.
I went to a tryout camp right after college. My last game I pitched was that no-hitter. Very last game I ever pitched competitively.
Wow.
So I went to a tryout camp about 2 weeks later down in Huntsville. Cincinnati Reds were having a tryout camp. And when they called me out to go pitch, I pitched batting practice to about 10 batters, and then finished and walked off. And they didn't say a word to me. They didn't say boo. I thought, I must not have done very good. They were looking for 18. I was 22 years old with a college degree. They were looking for 17 and 18-year-old boys who could throw 92, 93 miles per hour, because they wanted to put them in their farm system and then build them up. So I was past the age of what they were really looking for on their prospect list. So I didn't get a very good look. But no, I can imagine one of my best friends, and you might know this name, that grew up here in Abilene, Bill Gilbreth.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Was drafted by Detroit back in 1968, and he pitched in Detroit Tiger Stadium. Well, since then, they've torn that ballpark down. They've built a new ballpark. So when I went to visit that ballpark, out in front, they have these stone squares with every player's name who has ever put on a Tigers uniform. And Bill's name is on one of those squares. And so I kind of have lived my professional life through watching Bill pitch. And, of course, then he became great friends with Nolan Ryan, and then Nolan Ryan became involved in helping ACU restart their baseball program in 1990. So Bill was kind of my mentor growing up. He was 5 years older, but he was a great man.
Was that emotional when you saw it? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So basketball, you're pretty salty at basketball too. And well, come on. Hold on now. I've got the notes here. So you played basketball and baseball. You won the Thornton Award as the outstanding athlete at Abilene High, all district in both sports, not just baseball, but basketball too. You played basketball and baseball at Abilene Christian, member of the Southland Conference All-Freshman Team in basketball. Come on now. Pretty salty basketball player too.
Well, I was 6'3", and I was too tall to be a quick guard, and I was too small to be a power forward. So I kind of fell in that middle range.
You were Larry Bird.
Well, no. But really, when I got to college, trying to play two sports, of course, you can't do it today. It's year round. But back then, there were still a few that could try to do two sports. I think about Jack Mildren, who was just one of the greatest student athletes to come out of Abilene Independent School District. Of course, went to Oklahoma, played quarterback for the Sooners, but he was all district in 3 sports, maybe all state in 1 sport his senior year. But no, I was never that good in really in either sport. I mean, I enjoyed baseball the most, and I was a pitcher, left-handed pitcher, so I kind of had an advantage being a southpaw. But I grew up with sports. My dad named me after a football coach who was coaching at Lamar University. My first name is Standard. Nobody's ever named their kid Standard. But he was a football coach for Lamar. And when I was born in 1952, my dad had been reading the sports section one day and saw Stan Lambert, head football coach at Lamar Tech University back then. And he said, if I have a boy, I'm going to name him Stan Lambert. No kin, no connection to this man, and then of course Dwight Eisenhower was president in 1952. So I don't know where my politics started, but it probably started the day I was born.
That's a great story, though. That's a great story. I didn't know that story. I don't know. Maybe that's a well-known story about you, Stan Lambert. I love it.
Not many know.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, so I said a couple of fun ones. The first fun one was where would you go?
Yeah.
And Debbie's got that planned out.
Yes.
You've done the ballparks.
Yes.
Now you're going to do one of them river cruises where you stop at a castle you never heard of
That's
and
right.
think, hey, man, let's take a lot of pictures.
That's right.
But that's a lot of fun.
She's a history
I think
buff.
it's fun.
She
Well,
loves European history, especially.
You're going to love it. A friend of mine, by the way, just a few years ago did a river cruise that I thought, are you kidding me? How boring. But they went down the Mississippi and loved it.
Really?
And yeah, loved it. So keep that one in mind after the European cruise. Okay, so if somebody says, hey, let's go grab lunch, I'm not talking a specific restaurant. What kind of food? You're going to go Italian, you're going to go Mexican, you're going to go barbecue, you're going to go chicken fried steak.
Probably chicken fried steak.
See, that is quintessential Texan.
It is.
And people forget that because everybody's about the barbecue today. And of course, who doesn't love a great plate of barbecue?
Yeah.
But chicken fried steak is the quintessential Texan meal.
My mother could cook. She could just make a meal out of anything, like probably your mother did and others. But that was our go-to meal. Chicken fried steak.
It's so funny you say that because my memories of chicken fried steak, though my mom was a wonderful cook and many different things, but at Town Crier Steakhouse,
sure.
And you'd go to Town Crier Steakhouse to get your chicken fried steak and just thought, wow, man, that's something.
Yeah.
Now that's heyday stuff, Where would you go in Abilene way back in the day? Town Crier Steakhouse, Mac Eaplin's.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. In fact, we ate usually Sunday lunch after church every Sunday at Mac Eaplin's downtown.
Downtown, the cafeteria. A lot of people don't remember that.
And chicken fried steak was, it was delicious. And
so here's what we got to do. You gotta promise me when you have time, you'll come back. And we're going to do an episode of this podcast called Gone But Not Forgotten. Stuff like Mac Eaplin's downtown that people don't remember maybe, but we need to talk about because that was fantastic. It was a lot of fun to go downtown.
We could spend a whole podcast doing just circling Mac.
Yeah, we could. That's great. That's fantastic. Larry's Butterburger.
Of
course, it's still here.
Yeah.
It's not gone yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, those were great days. Okay, one last fun one, and it kind of gets to this. I want to circle back to you being named Abilene's Outstanding Citizen of the Year. So people nominated you, and I want to read you one quote somebody said. And I have no idea why I get a little emotional. I don't know you well, but I read this, and I got emotional when I read it. There are very few public figures I would hold up as a role model for my sons. Stan Lambert is one. There's just not a lot that people could say that would mean something with depth like that. How does that make you feel?
Well, it makes me feel really good. And I've had a lot of good role models in my life, both professionally and then just men that hung around my dad. My dad was a big sports fan, and so he hung around coaches and Athletic supply was his favorite place to go drink coffee with all the coaches, on Saturday mornings. And so many of those men became kind of like second father figures to me growing up. I just wanted to be like them. I failed in many ways.
Oh, man, you've arrived. You've arrived. Without question, both people on the podcast and people I talk in the community, when the name Stan Lambert comes up, what people say is, I love Stan Lambert. Your buddy Doc at Playfair Park.
One of my blood brothers.
He said to me the quintessential Stan Lambert line. He said, I don't agree with him politically too much, but I love him and I trust him, and he's got my vote.
Well, those are guys I've been in the trenches with over the years, and we've fought a lot of battles in junior high and high school, but you just have to put the politics aside sometimes and realize people are good. People are good to the core. God didn't create us to be evil. He wants us to be good. And Chris England is a good man, kind of brother from another mother.
I think you got a lot of those. I was talking to Daryl Smith here today, and I think you were best man at his mom and dad's wedding.
Yeah. And he was in my wedding.
People,
he was in mine. Yeah.
Well, Stan Lambert, man, oh man, thanks for coming on the podcast.
Thanks,
man.
Thanks for
and I really do want you to come back one day and we'll just reminisce, because I didn't move to Abilene until 74.
Okay.
And I'm just a little bit younger than you, but old enough to think of myself as an old man. I remember all those things in Abilene that have a lot of them have disappeared,
Sure.
But I'd love you'd help us remember those, and it's a lot of fun. And you're a very much respected man, and wish you the best, and have fun in Europe on that river cruise.
Thank you, Danny.
Now be sure to get the internet package on that boat, so you can log in and look on your social media at all the mean things people say, just to ruin the trip. Just to ruin the trip.
I'm going to learn some Czech language while I'm over there.
Yeah, learn some Czech language. That'd be great. I could give you one phrase.
One phrase.
All right, folks, there it is. I don't know if he's the best Abilenian ever, but he's the best Abilenian this year. Outstanding Citizen of the Year, and a really interesting guy, Stan Lambert. Who knew? But what a joy it has been to visit with Stan Lambert. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
And I got to just give one more shout out to Robyn, his assistant. I don't know what title she ought to be called, but she's a winner. And thanks, Robyn Wertheim, for all you have done for us and all you've done to help Stan out. And our producer for the podcast, Travis Corrigan. Always got to end with a shout out to TCB, taking care of business, Travis Corrigan. I'm your host, Danny Sims. Thanks so much for being here at Abilene People, our podcast on BigCountryPage.com, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.